Welcome back. My name is Erica, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different thrift flip. We are going to turn thrifted bed sheets into a rag rug. For this project, I headed to the thrift store just to see what I could find. Now, this was a new thrift store for me, and I'm glad I went here because they had so many bed sheets. The one that I normally go to, I always check just to look through all the linens, and they never have this many bed sheets. So I was really excited to find so many. I was going for kind of a blue and white theme, I guess. And so I was picking out all of the blue and white that I could find, and luckily there was so many different options. Now, typically I wouldn't thrift linens just because I'm a little grossed out by it, okay? Especially for your bed or for your pillows. I don't know, just a little something weird. I know I thrift tons of clothes, so what's the difference? But I don't know. But for this project, we're turning it into a rug, so to me it didn't really matter. So I took them home, washed them really well. If you're using, used sheets, they've already shrunk, so you really don't have to worry about them. So I just washed them in hot and got them really nice and clean and moved on. Now, the first step in this project is to create strips of fabric that you're going to use to make yarn, basically. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I tried out all of them that I could think of. The first one being to snip the fabric and then tear it. Now, you could do this, and a lot of tutorials you'll find online do. However, I found that you didn't get a very uniform sized strip. I wanted my strips to be about 2 inches wide, and when I ripped them, they were super uneven, so it'd be wider at the beginning and then really small at the end. And the sound was like nails on a chalkboard for me. I could not do it, but a lot of people do, so you can go ahead and try that out first. But I moved on to just using some scissors, and at first I was cutting the whole length of the bed sheet, and that was going to take forever. Now, this part of the process takes a long time anyway, so I was trying to brainstorm different ideas of how to cut these strips at a much faster rate. And what I landed on is folding the bed sheets. So I folded them 4 times over and then just cut my strips, and it took so much less time than going individually the entire length of the bed sheet. So basically what you can get from this is we're cutting 2-inch strips. I started with using about half of each sheet. So in total, I got 4 queen-sized top sheets. I think that's what they're called. They're the ones that don't have the elastic. So I just cut about half of those in strips, and that's what that looked like. But actually for my particular rug, I ended up using all 4 sheets. I didn't quite use all of the strips, but pretty close. The amount of strips you need will be determined by how big you want your rug. So my rug, I wanted to be in my kitchen to go kind of the length of the counter, underneath the counter where my sink is. So I just measured it, and this method is going to work for whatever size you want. So determine what size you want and then go from there. So once we've gotten all of our strips cut, now we have to join them together to create yarn, basically. And the easiest way to do this, it is time consuming, but the easiest way is you take your first strip and fold the edge over about 1/4 of an inch and cut right in the middle. So you're creating a slit, basically. And then you repeat that on the next piece of fabric. And then we are going to put one piece of fabric on top of the other and line up those holes that you just created. And the strip of fabric that is on the top, you will take the other end of that piece of fabric and feed it up through the bottom of your holes and then pull it tight. Again, this part takes a really long time. So I would say put on a movie, do this on a weekend or time where you have some time that you can just chill out and kind of do this. And that's also another reason why I started with just half of the fabric that I thought I might need. and went from there, because you'd hate to make all of this yarn and not use it and spend that much time. So anyway, that is my suggestion. Here I am again, just showing you really slowly. So the piece of fabric that is on the top, you take the other end and feed it up through the bottom and back up through the top, pull it tight, and you have joined your two pieces of fabric together. And then what I did was I just rolled them into balls to make it a lot easier. And we can move on to the next step, which is going to be our no-sew method, which is crochet. Now, don't be afraid if you've never crocheted before. Get yourself a large hook. This is a 15 millimeter. You can go a little bit bigger if you want. And we are going to start by making what is called a slip knot. To make a slip knot, you are going to cross over your fabric and create kind of like a ribbon shape. Then you will take the shorter end and place it over that loop that you just made, and then you pull it through, and it creates a little knot basically. And in that space, you're going to put your crochet hook, and we're going to start by chaining. Now, to chain, you are going to wrap your yarn around your hook and pull it through. You can see it here on the screen. It's a lot easier to see than it is to explain. You're going to wrap it around the hook, hook onto that yarn, and pull it through. Now, in terms of how many chains to do, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want to do an odd number though. Basically what I do instead of counting for this particular project is before, you should have measured how big you want your rug to be, or just thought of a number in your head that you want the length to be, and that is how long you are going to chain. So it doesn't really matter the amount. I would recommend counting it just so you have an odd number. That is important, but it just needs to be the length that you want it to be. So I'm going to go on chaining. Take your time on this. You don't want it to be super tight, because your chain does, the tightness does determine how the rest of it's going to look. So you want it to be a little bit loose, not super loose, but you want it to not be super, super tight where you can barely get your hook through it. So take your time, and you're going to chain an odd number of chains to the length that you would like your rug to be. Then we're going to move on to row 2. So what you do, we're going to do what's called a single crochet. In the second chain from the hook, you are going to insert your crochet hook, go all the way through, and then you are going to wrap the yarn around and pull up a loop. So you'll have 2 loops on your hook. Then you will wrap the yarn around the hook again and pull it through those 2 loops. That is a single crochet, and that is what you will be doing for the entire rug. It's very simple. So here we're going to do it again. We're putting our hook through the hole, wrapping the yarn and pulling it up, so you have 2 loops on your hook, wrapping the yarn around again and pulling that through your 2 loops. We're going to do this all the way down your foundation chain, that first chain that we just made, and then I will show you what the next step is, and you're just going to repeat this until you have the size of rug that you want. Now once you get to the end of your chain, you're going to continue doing single crochets until the very last one. Go ahead and put a single crochet into that last chain right there. And then we are going to chain 2. So we're going to wrap our yarn around, pull it through, wrap our yarn around again, and pull it through. And then we are going to turn our work. So we were moving from right to left first, and now we're flipping it over, so we're moving right to left again. We don't want to go back left to right. And now we're just going to repeat. So from the second chain from the hook, right there, you are going to do a single crochet. And we're just repeating this. It doesn't matter. You don't have to count the amount of rows. You're just going for length and width. So we've already got the length, now we're just making the width. So we're just going to continue this on and go until you've got the size of rug that you want. Now, you might have to make more yarn depending on how big you want it. Mine is really big. It's more of a runner than it is a smaller rug, so you might not need as much as me. So I would just recommend going with the lesser amount to start off with, and you can always make more. But we're just going to continue this until the end. Now that we're at the end of our rug, we are going to basically tie off and weave in the ends. So this is a little bit harder for this where I stopped. I probably should have gone another row, but I had ended it where I joined two pieces of fabric together. So I was having a little bit of a hard time getting this. So don't really look at this too much as an example, but you want to basically pull that yarn and pull it tight, and it'll kind of tie a knot at the end. And then we're going to weave in the ends. And the easiest way to do that is just to use your fingers, and we're just going to go back and forth through the holes, and it's just going to be nice and seamless. You really won't see the end of it. Now, some people will leave this kind of open-ended so that they can add to it later on. I saw that with a lot of people that did the round rugs. So you could also leave that as an option. You could always add more. But here is the location that I'm putting the rug. And I just wanted something a little bit brighter. I before had a fall looking rug, and since it's summer, I just wanted something a little bit lighter and something that was going to cover that area. I'm just adding a non-slip grippy thing on the bottom. I got mine at the Dollar Tree and it was perfect. It just put half on one end, half on the other, and it really doesn't move at all, and we're not tripping on it or anything like that. So that's something to keep in mind with these rugs. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, learned something new. I do have the full tutorial linked down below if you want to check it out. But if you want to see more videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you're notified of all of my new uploads. But thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.